All right, gang. Time for another episode. Another opportunity to discover what is behind the drink. It's episode 3 here on the J. Jackson Mobile Mixologist blog. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to share some time with you. Thanks for clicking on the link. Thanks for joining the mailing list. Thanks for expressing any interest at all in J. Jackson Mobile Mixologist and what we do. Time to get into this cocktail. Alright, so the Cry Pretty has been one of those cocktails that's been part of our oeuvre, or whatever you call it, for a while now. It's a great drink when you know you have a certain kind of crowd that wants a certain kind of experience, and you just know it's going to surprise and delight, but also just hit them right where they are. You know, really scratch that itch. For anyone who wants something kind of sweet, kind of sour, sparkling, refreshing, and not too complicated, and definitely something on the lighter side, on the more effervescent and kind of a poolside kind of vibe. This is that drink. So the Cry Pretty was designed. I hate to be a name dropper, but it was designed for a musical artist who is putting out an album called Cry Pretty last year. I'll let you figure out the rest yourself. Here in Nashville, we were approached by a marketing company actually that was putting out a couple different album released events. One was for a small group and one was for a really big group, and they wanted a drink that kind of fits a certain kind of vibe, a certain color, and would appeal to that crowd. And so I pulled this drink out of my hat. This is a great drink because it's a drink that's going to work every time because it uses a simple Collins template. The Collins template, which I'll talk about in a later episode, is so there's a bartender and bar owner in Seattle who's been kind of my mentor, whether or not he knows this, whose name is Jamie Boudreau. Jamie Boudreau owns the Cannon in Seattle, and he put out a bunch of really helpful bartender videos back in 2013, I think, maybe even earlier than that, right around the time that this business was starting. And so whether he knows it or not, I owe a lot of my success to just watching his videos and learning his recipes and his techniques. One thing he talks about in one of his blogs is what he calls the Mr. Potato Head method. And this is actually a pretty great way of illustrating the basics behind lots of cocktails you like. Lots of the cocktails you like are really just variations of the same method. So Mr. Potato Head, as long as you replace one set of eyes for another and just keep the eyes in the eye spot, one set of nose for the other, and make sure that the nose is in the nose spot, and so forth and so on, then you know it's going to work. It might be unusual, but it'll work. So in the case of a Collins, like a Tom Collins, you have your gin, your sugar or your simple syrup, your lemon juice, and your club soda. Well, you're getting your base spirit, a sour agent, a sweet agent, and then a carbonated water or something else to make it a long drink. Well, there's already another drink that uses that same method. It only swaps out one ingredient, and that is the French 75. The French 75 is a Tom Collins with champagne instead of club soda. A slight variation on that would be, everyone's favorite Moscow Mule. In this case, you have vodka and lime instead of lemon. And then you have ginger beer, which doubles as your carbonation and your sugar, so you don't need to add an extra sugar agent to make it balanced. Well, this drink was with the same idea. They wanted it to be vodka-based, so there you go. My base spirit is vodka. And I wanted it to be very light and easy, so I wanted to keep the club soda. But for the sweetening agent, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to play with syrups. Now, when you make a syrup, it's really three things, or a combination of three things, and that is your water, your sugar, and then your flavoring agent you want to make the syrup with. So it might be strawberries, it might be peaches, it might be cinnamon, So in the case of a simple syrup, it's 1 part water, 1 part sugar. And then if you want to add a flavor, you boil something else with it. So you boil strawberries or cinnamon, etc. And then you have a cinnamon syrup or whatever. What I wanted to do was, okay, instead of taking water and sugar, take rosé wine and sugar. So rosé wine is my water, so to speak, and then sugar for sweetening, obviously. And then I wanted to add mixed berries. So a combination of blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and cherries, actually. And so not as many cherries as you'd probably about an eighth of that was cherry, but it's mostly blackberry and raspberry. So make that mix, boil it together, and now you have this delicious wine-berry combination. And so that works really good with lemon. Lemon being this kind of bright, it's louder than lime. So you have a bright lemon flavor that's going to pair well and make the raspberry aspect of the syrup very bright and refreshing. And then you kind of use the club soda to lengthen it out. So that is what it was. It was just a variation on the Collins template. It was playing Mr. Potato Head. So instead of using gin, you're using vodka. And instead of using simple syrup, you're making a compound syrup with rosé wine, sugar, and mixed berries. So that broke down to the following: 1.5 ounces of vodka and 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. I used a full ounce of that compound syrup, and then no more than 2 ounces of that club soda, because it is just bubbly water. It's going to lengthen and kind of round out and even dilute all those other ingredients, making it very light. I love serving that drink not in a Collins glass, but actually in a wine glass or a wine goblet, because you can then festoon the interior of the glass with lemon wheels, with berries, and just kind of make it very bright and flowery. And of course, that color of the drink is very pink. It's very feminine. So this drink goes very well with like a day drinking crowd, a brunch crowd, a poolside crowd, any sort of professional environment where it's going to be mostly women. And just to be honest, most of the interactive social environments I'm in are with mostly women, because I'm in an events industry. There's a lot of event planners and caterers and venue owners that are women. It's a very women centric industry, which is great. And so, a lot of women will knock back a few old fashions, that's for sure, but a lot of women want something very light and easygoing, and a lot of events are held during the day. So this drink goes great in the daytime, great for a female-heavy crowd, and if you want to make something very pretty and Instagrammable, this is definitely that drink. I've used it in a few other social situations since that event, a few venue openings, a few mixers, a few networking events, and it goes down every time. So make it at home. Check the notes on this blog for the exact recipes, and let me know if you enjoyed it. This is another episode of Behind the Drink, the Cry Pretty. It was a hit back then at the album release. It's still a hit today. We're going to actually be showcasing it at another opening here this month later in August. So yeah, it's been a big part of our story. Hope you enjoy it. Please, if you haven't already, join the mailing list. Stay in touch. We love to just stay connected with you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. And of course, if it's worth celebrating, celebrate well.